London's skyline glittered under the moonlight, but beneath its glamorous surface lay a web of secrets waiting to be unraveled. In the heart of the city, billionaire tycoon Victor Holloway stood in his glass-walled penthouse, sipping scotch as he stared at a classified dossier labeled Project Pandora. Across town, investigative journalist Daniel Carter received a cryptic email with an address and a single message: "The truth is buried beneath Westminster." Meanwhile, in a dimly lit alleyway, a hooded figure passed a briefcase to an MI6 agent, whispering, "If they find out, we're all dead." The conspiracy ran deep, entangling the British elite, rogue intelligence operatives, and a shadowy organization known only as the Dominion. At Heathrow Airport, a mysterious woman named Evelyn Black stepped off a private jet from Dubai, carrying a hidden drive containing classified evidence. Unbeknownst to her, an assassin had been trailing her since she boarded. In Washington, D.C., a nervous CIA analyst decoded an intercepted transmission, his face turning pale as he realized the implications. "London is compromised," he muttered, reaching for a secure line. Back in the city, Detective James Thornton stumbled upon a gruesome murder scene. An informant had been silenced, his body left with a chilling message carved into his chest. Buried truth. As Daniel followed the address from the email, he found himself in an abandoned underground bunker beneath Westminster, where dusty files revealed shocking connections between politicians, corporate moguls, and unsolved disappearances. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind him, and a distorted voice echoed through the chamber. "You shouldn't have come here, Mr. Carter." Elsewhere, Evelyn barely escaped an assassination attempt, dodging bullets as she sprinted through the streets. Her only ally a hacker named Finn, who had uncovered Dominion's darkest secrets. As she and Daniel's paths collided, the full extent of the conspiracy unfolded, a sinister plot that threatened not just London, but the entire world. With assassins closing in, betrayals at every turn, and the government itself implicated, they had only one option: expose the truth before they too were buried beneath the weight of the London conspiracy. Victor Holloway, however, was not merely a bystander in this chaos. From his penthouse, he orchestrated every move, pulling strings behind the scenes, ensuring that every attempt to uncover the truth led to more questions than answers. He had his own personal security detail, a private army that operated in the shadows, eliminating threats before they even emerged. As Daniel and Evelyn dug deeper, they discovered a secret research facility beneath the River Thames, where scientists had been working on mind control technology under the Dominion's directive. The project had been in development for years, designed to manipulate political leaders and global markets without anyone ever suspecting. When they infiltrated the facility, what they found was even worse rows of test subjects, civilians abducted, and subjected to experimental neurological conditioning. Among them was a familiar face, Detective Thornton's missing daughter, presumed dead for years. The detective, now an unwilling pawn in the Dominion's game, had been forced to cover up the truth to protect her life. When he finally turned against them, it marked the beginning of an all-out war between those seeking justice and those determined to bury the past. A high-speed chase through London's underground tunnels ended in a fiery explosion, with Daniel and Evelyn barely making it out alive. As they regrouped in a safe house, Finn uncovered a secret cache of conversations between world leaders and Dominion's top operatives. With this proof, they had a fighting chance to expose the organization. But the Dominion would not go down quietly. In a final showdown at a high-profile gala in Buckingham Palace, Evelyn disguised herself as a foreign diplomat, while Daniel hacked into the palace's security system, broadcasting the incriminating evidence live to the entire world. The moment the truth was revealed, chaos erupted. Victor Holloway, cornered and exposed, attempted to flee, but was shot dead by one of his own operatives, a man who had grown tired of living under the Dominion's thumb. As the organization collapsed, its members either disappeared into the shadows or were arrested, but the cost of victory was high. As dawn broke over London, Daniel stood on the steps of Westminster, the weight of their victory settling in. Evelyn vanished into the crowd, her mission complete, while Detective Thornton, reunited with his daughter, vowed to bring the remnants of the Dominion to justice. But even as the world celebrated, a final encrypted message appeared on Finn's screen. This was only the beginning. What Daniel and Evelyn didn't realize was that their battle had only scratched the surface of the Dominion's vast reach. As they rested, believing they had secured victory, a covert team was already moving to erase all remaining evidence. In a hidden location beneath the ruins of the abandoned research facility, a group of masked scientists retrieved classified documents, ensuring that the truth would remain buried. One of them turned to the others, whispering, "The architect will not be pleased." Meanwhile, in a darkened boardroom in Dubai, a secret council convened, their faces obscured by shadows. One voice, deep and commanding, spoke. London was merely the first stage. Initiate the next phase. Hours later, as Daniel prepared to leave the city, an unmarked black SUV followed him through the streets. Inside, an agent spoke into a radio. "Target acquired. Awaiting orders." Before he could react, his car was rammed from the side, sending him crashing into an alleyway. As he stumbled from the wreckage, blood trickling from his forehead, he saw them coming men in tactical gear, their weapons drawn. Evelyn, watching from a safe distance, realized too late that they had underestimated their enemy. The London conspiracy was far from over. It had only just begun. Little did Daniel and Evelyn know, the Dominion had sleeper agents embedded in the highest ranks of global intelligence. In Washington, D.C., a U.S. senator received a coded message warning him to distance himself from London's fallout while in Moscow. An anonymous call to a Russian oligarch simply stated, "Eliminate the loose ends." Aboard a private yacht in the Mediterranean, an exiled Dominion scientist prepared to reveal the next phase of the project, an advanced, AI-driven surveillance network designed to control the world's financial systems. The deeper Daniel and Evelyn delved into the conspiracy, the more they realized they weren't just fighting a corrupt organization. They were up against a new world order, one that had already begun reshaping global power structures from the shadows. The city of London remained on edge. The Thames River hid yet another secret. Deep beneath its murky waters, an abandoned Dominion safe house contained blueprints for something terrifying, a neural implant capable of rewriting memories. If perfected, it would give those in power the ability to erase opposition without bloodshed. Daniel and Evelyn now had more than just a mission. They had to stop an impending global takeover. But time was running out. With the Dominion already planning its next move and a new wave of assassins on their trail, the fight for the truth was about to escalate into an all-out war. As Daniel lay semi-conscious in the wreckage of his vehicle, his ears ringing from the impact, the sound of boots crunching on shattered glass jolted him into action. He struggled to move, his vision blurring as the masked agents approached with weapons drawn. Before they could seize him, a sudden explosion rocked the alleyway. A black motorcycle skidded to a stop beside him, the rider's face hidden beneath a dark visor. "Get on," the voice commanded. Without hesitation, Daniel climbed onto the bike, gripping the rider as they sped off through the rain-slicked streets of London, dodging gunfire and pursuing SUVs. His rescuer was none other than Evelyn, who had intercepted a Dominion frequency just in time to save him. Meanwhile, Finn, watching from his hideout, traced Dominion's encrypted communications. His fingers danced over the keyboard, decrypting the messages that hinted at a secondary base hidden in the United States. The messages referred to something called Project Oracle, a final contingency plan that would ensure Dominion's control, even if London fell. As he worked, a sudden power surge cut through his system, and his monitors went black. "They found me," he whispered. Before he could react, the door to his hideout exploded inward, and shadowy figures poured in. Finn grabbed a hard drive and fled through the emergency exit, gunfire echoing behind him. Back in London, Daniel and Evelyn took refuge in an abandoned MI6 safe house, patching up their wounds. "We need to finish this," Daniel said, determination burning in his eyes. Evelyn nodded. "We have to take the fight to them before they erase every trace of their existence." Their next lead was in Washington, D.C., a former Dominion scientist who had defected, hiding under an assumed identity. He was their only hope of exposing the full extent of Project Oracle. As they boarded a private flight under false identities, neither of them noticed the stewardess discreetly pressing a concealed earpiece, whispering, "They're in the air." Engaging protocol blackout. Hours later, the plane's navigation system inexplicably malfunctioned, veering off course over the Atlantic. The pilot, confused and panicked, received a direct order from an unknown frequency. "Divert to secure location or be eliminated." In the cargo hold, Daniel and Evelyn sensed the shift. Evelyn hacked into the plane's comms, intercepting the order. "They're forcing a landing in an unregistered airstrip. We can't let that happen." As the plane descended, Evelyn and Daniel fought their way through the cabin, subduing Dominion. Operatives disguised as passengers. With seconds to spare, Evelyn rewired the autopilot, overriding the hijack attempt. The plane shuddered but realigned, continuing its route to Washington. On the ground below, Dominion agents watching from an abandoned airfield realized they had failed. "Plan B," one muttered, making a call. In Washington, their contact was already in danger. Dr. Adrian Wells, a former high-ranking scientist in Dominion's research division, sat in a dimly lit apartment, checking his watch nervously. He had spent years on the run, but he knew it was only a matter of time before they found him. A soft knock at the door sent a chill down his spine. Checking the security feed, he saw Daniel and Evelyn standing outside. Reluctantly, he let them in. "You shouldn't have come here," he muttered. "They'll know." Evelyn placed the hard drive on the table. "Tell us about Project Oracle." Wells hesitated before speaking, his voice shaking. "Oracle isn't just surveillance. It's the future of control. Dominion has developed technology that can predict and manipulate global events before they even happen. Financial markets, wars, elections. Every major decision will be orchestrated from the shadows." Before they could process the gravity of his words, the apartment's windows shattered as Dominion assassins stormed in. A brutal fight ensued, gunfire and smoke filling the air. Wells was hit, gasping for breath as he clutched his bleeding side. "Go! Find the vault! New York! Under Grand Central!" he whispered before collapsing. Evelyn grabbed Daniel's arm. "We need to move now!" As sirens blared in the distance, they disappeared into the night. With Wells dead, their only remaining lead was the vault, an underground Dominion data center rumored to contain every piece of classified intelligence in existence. But getting inside would be nearly impossible unless they had help. Finn, alive but wounded, resurfaced in New York, reaching out to his underground contacts. "I need a team, the best." Within hours, mercenaries, rogue hackers, and ex-intelligence operatives assembled, ready to take on the most dangerous mission of their lives. As Daniel and Evelyn arrived in New York, the city became their battleground. Dominion had tightened its grip, using its influence over law enforcement and private security firms to track them down. The moment they stepped off their transport, alarms triggered across Dominion's network. "They know we're here," Evelyn muttered. "Then let's make it count," Daniel replied. Their plan was set. Infiltrate Grand Central, bypass the vault's security, extract every Dominion secret, and broadcast it to the world. But Dominion was prepared for them. Hidden deep within the vault was something even they didn't anticipate. Failsafe designed to wipe out every trace of data, if breached. The final confrontation unfolded beneath the streets of New York as Dominion operatives clashed with Daniel's team. Explosions rocked the tunnels, gunfire illuminating the darkness. Daniel and Evelyn reached the core of the vault, Finn working furiously to hack the mainframe. Just a few more seconds he started, but Dominion's last enforcer, a ruthless operative, known only as the Architect, arrived. A brutal hand-to-hand battle ensued between Daniel and the Architect, while Evelyn fought to keep the security teams at bay. With seconds left before Dominion initiated a full system wipe, Finn completed the data extraction and triggered an emergency broadcast. Around the world, screens flickered to life, exposing Dominion's crimes to the public. The world watched in shock as decades of hidden corruption were laid bare.